And I want to welcome the White House the 2022 World Series champions, the Houston Astros. The team owner Jim Crane, the manager Dusty Baker, a name not known to many of them. The organization, the players and everyone in the organization, it's great to have you here. It's great to see so many of your fans, including the second gentleman and Representative Al Green, Randall Weber. Where's Al? Is Al here? There you are. I'm gonna make sure I see you, Al. Because I know if I don't see, if he doesn't see me, that cane hurts.
We'll be back next year, Mr. President.
Randall Weber, where's Randall?
Right here.
Oh, there you go, Randall. I got him, man.
We will be back next year.
And if you want anybody, you want Sheila Jackson Lee in your team because you don't want to be on the opposite side of her. You're playing every minute, I tell you. Look, who has the distinction of representing Minute Maid Park, home of the Astros, by the way. The Houston Astros, legends of Space City. The legends of Space City. Now, you know, 100 years from now, they're wondering what the hell that was, the Space City. 106 regular season wins, the best American league in the best season in the American League. 21 shutouts for opposing teams. The most in the entire league, including the postseason. Swept the Mariners, the Yankees, and the American League playoffs. And then, although I love these guys, this next part's hard to say. Then they beat the Phillies in 6 games to win the World Series. Now, y'all realize that means I can't go back to Philly, you know. Oh, I kid. Look, led by World Series MVP. Where's Jeremy? Jeremy, raise your hand so everybody sees him. First rookie position player to earn the honor. First. Led by 5 All-Stars as well as a group of pitchers who pitched the first combined no-hitter in postseason history. You guys just weren't satisfied with winning the World Series, man. You had to break every record. I tell you, remarkable achievements led by, and this is not hyperbole, the legendary Dusty Baker. Worst part was I remember rooting for him as a kid, and I was older than he was. Dusty, it wasn't easy. People counted you out saying you're past your prime. Hell, I know something about that. I know something about that. Dusty, a former Marine, a man of faith, has never given up with a record to prove it. An all-star player, three-time manager of the year, the first coach to lead 5 teams to postseason in all of baseball history. And finally, World Series champion as a player and a manager. There were plenty of folks rooting for the Astros, but the whole country was rooting for Dusty Baker, I promise you that. The whole country. Look, and this team didn't just step up on the field. It stepped up for the community. I think I was mentioning this to the guys a few minutes earlier. You focused on issues that are near and dear to my heart. I mean that sincerely. Like raising awareness on domestic violence. You know, I spent a lot of my career writing the Violence Against Women Act. I think my dad used to have an expression that the idea that the abuse of power, any man who raises his hand to a woman is just a freaking coward. And, you know, your support for kids with cancer. Me and my family and many families in America, that cuts very personally. And we set up the Biden Cancer Initiative and the Cancer Moonshot. We brought researchers, nonprofits, advocates, patients to end cancer as we know it, including pediatric cancer, which is often not researched. You know, then during the terrible winter of 2021, you stepped up helping those most in need. And it matters. Don't underestimate it, guys. It's an American thing to do. You showed up for the people of Uvalde when they needed it most. I spent a lot of time in Uvalde. I met every single family. I made sure I met every single solitary family and spent time with them. And I don't know, you know, I don't know what they're doing with that machine. I mean, they're just rolling along here. But the point is, you know, I think you athletes underestimate how much hope you give. Not a joke. I'm not being, it's not hyperbole. I give you my word. Every one of those kids, and when you guys decided, the management decided to roll up and take 300 of these kids and their families to the ball game, it gave them a little bit of, well, some of you have suffered loss in your life. You understand it. It's astounding what you do. I really mean it. And it meant a great deal. One of the reasons why I like you guys so damn much. You know, the community was devastated. You guys did, my dad used to say, half a win is showing up. You showed up. You spent time with the surviving students. You gave them hope. You played ball in the park with them. You signed jerseys with their names and the children that were lost on it. I mean, it really, it validates in ways I don't think you really understand. You hosted the Uvalde Strong Day. And as I said, 3,000 Uvalde residents provided buses to bring them to the game. You guys are the real deal. And the victim's sister, Faith Mata, whose sister Tess was killed throughout the ceremonial pitch. Imagine what it was like for her standing on that mound, or standing near it. Imagine what it was like and what it did. It really matters. I promise you. I promise you. And this team said to the community that day, your family, your neighbors, we want to do whatever we can to help you get through this process. And if it's just a smile on a Sunday for our game, that's what we want to do. That's what you did. You did a whole lot more. Yes, sports is about winning, but it's a lot more than that. The best, it lifts people up, it brings them together, it helps them be there for each other. I was honored to host the 2022 Houston Astros here at the White House. And by the way, congratulations. I didn't even say that part yet. But no. I've done a lot of these. You're an impressive group of men. I mean, you really are. From management on down to ownership, I mean, you care. And this is not part of the program here, guys, but I'll bet you were surprised, or it gave you heart to see the reaction people had to those kids when you took them out in the field. It matters. So thank you. And folks, let me end by saying God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to bring up a guy totally unknown to all of you, Jim Crane, say a few words.
Mr. President, First Lady, on behalf of my family, I got most of my crew here today, and the entire...
James.
Yes, that's Big James. And the entire Houston organization, thank you for having us this afternoon here. It's a great honor. And we appreciate the hospitality. The staff has been great, very welcoming, and I'd like to thank them. And today is a special day. It's not only for the players, these great players and coaches work hard every day, but we have a lot of our people. We got some announcers in here. I parked cars with that guy when I was 16.
Is that right?
We're still parking cars. And so the whole organization pitches in. I don't think everybody realizes how hard everyone works, from the announcers, guys cleaning the stadium. All those jobs are very important. And it really helped us win 2022. It was a very, very team effort from these great players and our entire group here today, and I appreciate everybody coming up today. We're here representing the city of Houston. We have some some politicians over there we know very well, and thank you for the great support. But we have the best fans in baseball, and we want to thank our fans. Without the fans, I tell everybody, the fans pay the bills. They pay the salary. I'm just a little conduit. And we wouldn't be here without all that support. The other thing, we were lucky to pick off Dusty a few years ago, and Dusty has an unbelievable career. Everyone knows that. But this year he won a World Series. He hadn't won a World Series, believe it or not.
Played one.
And I'm happy to turn it over to him, and I'm proud to have Dusty as our manager.
Thank you. Well, thanks, Jim. Good afternoon, and we're honored to be here today to represent the city of Houston and this organization. President Biden, First Lady, Dr. Biden, and your team, we thank you for inviting us to the celebration of our championship. These guys deserve it, and we thank you for the hospitality. These guys standing behind me are the greatest guys that I've been around. They're always believing in themselves. They always believed in themselves prior to me even coming here, that they had the ability to win. And they showed what perseverance and character can do for you. I have these readings every day that I read, and that was about today was perseverance. And perseverance has been, you know, the biggest part of my life, and perseverance has been the biggest part of these guys' life, or else you can't make it to the promised land like we did. These guys, you know, we're a group of veterans alongside some incredible young men who stepped into big shoes and made big plays for the biggest stage. We all know baseball is a long season, and they came to play every day. That's what we talk about all the time. They were consistent in their personalities and confidence, and they had each other with unwavering support for each other and love for each other. I mean, I think that is probably one of the biggest things that this team has compared to other teams that I've been in the past, is that they genuinely loved each other. And when I asked the late Bill Russell what was the keys to the Celtics, whom I didn't like very well, he told me that they loved each other. 2022 was never about one individual. It was about a group of men coming together to accomplish something very special for this city that supported them. I love them all. You've got to love each and every one of them, and it's only a way to come together in a special feeling that is tough to describe and hard to repeat, but we plan on repeating exactly that feeling. Houston's a great city with great people and great fans. Hands down, we're the best baseball fans in America, and we couldn't have done it without their support. I said the night we won that if we won one, we'd win two. And so now I got to keep my word. I like keeping my word. And we're in the middle of making it happen right now. Coming off a great series in New York, heading into a big series in Baltimore, probably the biggest series that Baltimore has had in a while. But hey, I'm known to be honest, you know. No harm intended. And, you know, thank you, Mr. President, and your staff for having us here today. It's an honor. And I'm going to throw it back to Jim to present a special gift to Mr. President. Thank you.
All right, well, a significant moment here, a joyous moment for the world champs. at the White House for the 2022 World Series Championship celebration. We are here in the newsroom. I'm Jonathan Bruce alongside ABC 13's Brianna Connor. Brianna, we typically, when we're here on the live stream, it's some difficult news, but what a day in Washington, D.C.
It's been some really, really cool images that we've been able to watch right along with y'all this morning from here in Houston, taking a look at our team in Washington at the White House. That jersey that they presented to President Biden, the gold, it was so cool, and it's so neat to key back into all the highs of last season.
Yeah, so many great references and so many memorable, wonderful faces on the screen representing Houston. As you see, Dusty Baker, of course, never at a loss for words, always one
a truth teller.
with a way with words there in the White House. Listen, there's so much to get to for the guy who brought you every step of the way of the Astros World Series journey and was just in New York this past weekend covering Justin Verlander's return in the Bronx. I want to welcome in ABC 13's Adam Winkler here in the newsroom. Adam, what stands out to you in terms of what we are witnessing today for the Astros in the White House?
First of all, great to be with you guys, and especially for, like you mentioned, an event that brings smiles to a whole lot of people, which is exactly what this Astros team did last year for our city, for this fan base. A whole bunch of smiles. It was great to hear President Biden kind of go through the checklist of what this club does for those outside of the diamond, outside of the 90 feet of the baseball field that we see. He talked about the community impact that these Astros have made. Uvalde, obviously that is a story so many of us here in this newsroom know so well. President Biden basically rattling off, narrating the events that we saw down in Uvalde when we were with the Astros down there. Their mission, making that trip, just to provide one giant hug to a community that is grieving so much. A month later, they brought buses of folks, family members, victims, Little League coaches, people who worked at the funeral homes up to Houston to enjoy a game. That game turned out to be one involving the 2022 World Series champions. I also, Brianna, Jonathan, can't help but think about what it's like for Dusty Baker, a baseball lifer. The man has been in baseball for literally decades. He lived through segregation. For him to be standing in the White House as a World Series championship manager, that's got to be a pretty awesome feeling for Dusty, his loved ones, and people who have known him for so long and what he's been through. And it looked like, guys, just about everybody from last year's squad there in attendance. I saw Jason Castro. He was injured during last season. He retired. Obviously, Justin Verlander. We wouldn't have expected him to be with the club, but he was able to get there just in time. Obviously, Yuli Gurriel, Aledmys Diaz, guys who were with other clubs, not a part of that. But it sure looks like it was well attended, and it worked out perfectly. A day game at Yankee Stadium yesterday. They play in Baltimore tomorrow night. And wow, maybe the Orioles going to have a little bit of bulletin board material after Dusty says it is the biggest series they've had. But this is just great. It's a century-old tradition. This dates back to 1924. The World Series winner going to pay a visit to the White House. This will be something that those men and women associated with the organization will never forget.
We heard from Jim Crane as well. He wanted to thank the entire club who was a part of that World Series championship run. We know some of the announcers got to be there today, not just the players in the front office. So it seemed like a really neat event to really bring recognition to everyone who was a part of last season's run.
Yeah,
100%. And that's something that Jim Crane has made a point to do. He has provided World Series championship rings. I believe he did it in 2017. I know he did it last year. To basically every part of the organization, whether you work on the marketing side of things, whether you work in minor league baseball, he is making sure that everybody within the organization is a part of the championship. And that's why I think it was important for, you're looking right there on your screen, you see Robert Ford, the play-by-play announcer, you see Jeff Blum, he was a part of our ABC 13 parade coverage.
Blummer.
The fact that he's able to be there, Julia Morales was there, obviously members of the Astros PR staff, but those are the folks, the play-by-play announcers, the radio broadcasters. that's what the fans, they live these games through them. They know the players, they love the players, but it's the announcers and the folks who work the stadium, that fans really get to know. So it was super cool that they are a part of that trip. I did not see any Astros family members other than family members of Jim Crane. I do know they are on that trip, but it didn't look like they were in the East Room of the White House. But anybody who has been up there knows it's not exactly there's a good watch shot. Not exactly the most spacious room on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Adam, let me ask you this, and then we'll bring you to the desk here, and I want to dive in a little more. We have seen so many wins and such a run from this Astros ball club, and we know there are a few people, Brianna, who were there, I guess, 5 years ago now. Adam, what stands out to you about the culture of this Astros team that has created now the best baseball club for 5, 6, 7 years running, and Dusty alluded to it, trying to win another one?
You said the word, and it's culture. And we actually talked to Justin Verlander about that very thing in the clubhouse at Yankee Stadium this weekend. Justin, what is it about this squad? Look, he's been with the Tigers. He was with the Mets for a hot minute. But there's something about the Astros. He wanted to come back to the Astros because he was traded there in August of 2017. He obviously won a couple Cy Youngs, won a couple World Series. He says it's just they do things the right way. That obviously starts at the top, whether you want to talk about Jim Crane or you want to talk about the top in the clubhouse, the skipper, Dusty Baker, who is revered by just about anybody that you talk to. A.J. Hinch, widely respected. Obviously, he had the scandal issue that has tarnished his legacy, but we hear it over and over again. They do things the right way. Jonathan, you and I have talked about it a lot. You see a lot of home run antics here in 2023 in Major League Baseball. You don't see the Astros doing that. They're not putting on wigs. They're not putting on Viking helmets. They do things the right way. It's a culture of winning. It's a culture of leadership. It starts with Jose Altuve. It starts with Justin Verlander. Michael Brantley, he's injured right now, but he's a major part of that. They also point to guys that have come and left, the George Springers of the world. Yeah. Garrett Cole had quite an influence on this team, and I think it was important for Jason Castro to be there. The catcher, he's always kind of the manager on the field, the coach on the field. I think it says a lot that he was a part of that trip to the White House, even though he wasn't on that playoff roster last year because his career ended early due to injuries, but he was here in those lean years in the early 2010s too. So it's nice to see him go and celebrate that White House trip.
And so as you make your way over here, Adam, I want to ask you this too, because we were watching the video, the images. Of course, one thing that jumped out, how cool that jersey with Biden's last name on the back of it, the gold lettering. But I was also noticing some things. Bregman's got a fresh fade. Verlander talked about showing up in the gold suit.
We've seen Verlander with the gold suit.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we got.
That was some really interesting fashion. They had to kind of talk about what they were getting ready to wear. I think you also mentioned, Adam, there are some J's in the room.
Alex Bregman, always known to be fresh with whatever he's doing, whether it's something on social media or an appearance. He was showing up in the Jordans, and Justin Verlander, you could not miss him wearing the gold suit. He told us that that's what he would do. I do think it was interesting. Only a couple guys I noticed chose to go no tie in the White House. I'd love to get the thought process behind that. Maybe next time you go to the White House, maybe you wear a tie. I don't know. But it was good to see the guys looking fresh, looking clean. And Brianna, Jonathan, they just got off a bus. They are staying in Baltimore. So they took a bus down. I would think they'd have a police escort, but it's about 90 minutes from Baltimore to the White House. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of the guys maybe pulled a change once they got off the bus and then got into the sharp-looking suits before they walked in the East Room.
And you talked about that. I mean, full disclosure, let's get into the full picture, what we know here at ABC 13. This is an off day in between two critical road trips for the Houston Astros team. They were just in the Bronx for a 4-game set. They're going to Baltimore for 3 big ones. It is, I guess, something that it's a burden, I guess. I mean, talk about that. The balance that the Astros players have to feel, right, between going to the White House, which is an amazing honor, and also giving up an off day, a family day where they're traveling. They just don't get a lot of those.
The context of this trip is important. It's an East Coast swing, New York, Baltimore, so the off day there, it made sense to go visit the White House. But you talked about it. It's a family trip. Those are super rare in Major League Baseball. This is a grind, guys. They play 162 games, 81 on the road, a lot of times play in 15 out of 16 days. The families always go on the unique trips. the New Yorks, the places where the kids can kind of see the sights. You see them go to LA quite a bit. Chicago, I wouldn't be surprised next year when the Astros go, if that's a family trip. So this is logistically, this is the date that they had to go to the White House. But we did not see families in the East Room. We saw Jim Crane's family. So that tells me, with some of the conversations I had with some of the players in the clubhouse, the families had to stay in Baltimore.
Right.
The families were not allowed to make this trip to the White House. Family time is so key for these guys. It kind of gives them a refresher when they're in the middle of this grind. So you had some guys leaving their young children, leaving their wives, leaving their pregnant wives to go and be celebrated, regardless of where you stand on the political scale. Guys were not thrilled about doing it. And also, you think about the last time they went in 2018, it was during spring training.
Yeah.
You're not missing anything. Families are there for 5-6 weeks. It's not a big deal, but because the World Baseball Classic was played during spring training this year, there was a little bit of a logistical snafu, so that's why the date was then. But I'm not totally surprised how quick that ceremony was.
I see.
Because I think the guys have made it clear to Jim Crane, Dusty Baker, that they wouldn't mind getting in and out. Let's take our photos, let's have our conversations. But we understand the families are probably waiting back in Baltimore for them to get back there.
Get back to our kids and our wives.
I want to have some fun here if we can, because we're talking about the World Series championship from a year ago. And Brittany, I think we have some of the parade video. I'm talking with Brittany Wilmore, our senior digital producer, in the back. Adam, this was, as we look at this, I mean, one of the coolest days I have ever been a part of. Brianna, just look at those people. 1.5 million plus turned out. I mean, the World Series run itself was full of so many incredible moments like I've never witnessed before, but then also that parade where it just all came together. What a day that was in Houston, y'all.
And you were out there, Adam. You were getting some of the big interviews.
And that, when in the months since, we've obviously had a lot of conversations about the Astros in the run, and as somebody who grew up here, how incredible that was. Two things stick out to me about the run: being in the clubhouse at Minute Maid Park, celebrating the World Series championship. I think it had been a decade since a home team won the World Series, so the fact that it happened at home in our hometown was something I'll never forget. But really, guys, it was that parade. It was the fact that we were with 1 million fellow Houstonians who are just celebrating this team that had been close in 19, that had been close in 21. We wanted to see that parade again. And you can tell by the folks hanging off of parking garages, the wait was well worth it. They wanted to get out there and see it. It was such a sunny day. The weather was great. It was the vibe was just incredible, and that is certainly something that stands out to me. Seeing how happy the players were on the float. You talked about it, BC. I was able to hop up there with Jeremy Pena. In the midst of him just giving the heart sign.
Heck with the rules. I'm getting on the float and talking to Jeremy Pena.
Yeah, so if Dusty's prediction comes true and there is another parade this coming November, it'll be interesting to see what the float rules are.
You're going to be barred from that
But
parade.
It was the fact that, because it is a community story. It's not a sports story. And seeing the attendance there, seeing how deep everybody went, how excited everybody was to see those Astros carrying the trophy and, waving back at the fans.
Man.
It just shows you how impactful that team was to our city.
It's a national story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Houston Astros are in Washington, D.C. right now with the president, who, by the way, did have to remind us briefly, he's a Phillies fan.
Yes. and that shows that he can honor anybody who walks through. Maybe that gives us hope about bipartisan politics. If the president, a known Philly sports fan, can salute the Stros for beating the Phillies, maybe we've got some hope going forward.
There are there are so many things that stand out. I mean, I was in the ballpark in the division series. Astros are down 7-3 and come back. I don't know if they don't come back. I don't know if they make it out of that series. Yordan Alvarez, this is game 1 of the playoffs. Yordan Alvarez hits a game-winning home run, 450 feet. Minute Maid Park is in hysterics. Adam, all the way through, the sweep of the Yankees, the combined no-hitter, the comeback in Philly, Mattress Matt giving it to the Phillies
we
fans.
Want Houston, right?
Yep.
We
We
want
want
Houston.
Houston all the way to this game has been turned upside down, one of the great home runs in close. I mean, Maybe I'm close to it, right? And certainly partial. You see, we've all got our Brianna and I. We happen to wear our Astros orange today. I can't remember a World Series run full of more memorable moments than this past one.
And it was such a unique season, too, guys. Let's not forget, there was a lockout.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
the
right.
season
That's
started
right. I
late.
almost
Spring
did forget about
training
that.
started late. They played a doubleheader against the Yankees 2 days after the All-Star game because they had to fit these games in, and that was when things turned. They swept that doubleheader from the Yankees. They ended up beating the Yankees in 5 out of 7 the regular season, and then we know what happened in the Bronx in the postseason after they chanted, "We want Houston."
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. The ups and downs, and this might be a little inside baseball, pun intended, we're talking baseball, but you guys know how social media goes. So it was game 1 of the American League Division Series. I had scheduled my Facebook post, saved it as a draft. Astros dropped game 1 to the Mariners because they were down in their down to their final out when Yordan
to the final
Alvarez
strike.
hit the home run to win it. I have not gone back in and deleted that draft just because it puts a smile on my face when I go back in and I see it. That's how close it was.
Yeah.
They were to losing game 1 at home. Who knows what would have happened? They play 18 innings in Seattle.
Forgot
That
about
was
the
wild.
18-inning game.
That was wild.
to
Yeah. You're
sweep
absolutely
that
right.
3-game
0-0
series.
and
0-0. And then
18-inning game.
the legend of Jeremy Pena.
Yeah.
That's when it starts. He hits the home run to win the game, the ALDS. Then they win 2 games. Justin Verlander, remember him? Beats the Yankees to open up the American League Championship Series. They go to New York. We want Houston, sweep the Yankees. And it was fun being at in the Bronx this weekend to see Verlander's return. So many Astros fans made that trip.
Yeah.
It was planned well in advance when the schedule came out. I saw flags. I saw customized jerseys. I saw signs. We want Houston. They will not let those Yankees fans forget it. And then, of course, you talk about the World Series. They were left for dead. Verlander blows the lead in game 1. Kyle Tucker hits 2 home runs. They lose game 1. They go up there. Lance McCullers, I think he just gave up another home run while we were on the air.
I forgot about
Just
that.
throwing meatballs up in Philly. And then they come out, they throw a combined no-hitter. Then Justin Verlander, remember he gave the double birds? Getting off the bus to the Philly fans? Then he comes out, finally gets a World Series win in game 5. It sets up to come home, win it at home. Such a rare opportunity to do so. They get it done in game 6. Mattress Mac is the folk hero because he stood up for our guy Altuve. And then just a few days later, it was the parade, and now we're watching him in the White House.
Let me ask you this, Adam. Being a Texas fan, one thing I will always remember that Coach Brown said after the Longhorns won the Rose Bowl in 2006 was the first thing you want to do immediately is win it again.
Yep.
You feel all the pressure. You're on a high. Obviously, this has been a different season for the Astros. They're behind the Rangers. What will this team need to do to earn this trip again and to earn another title?
Get into the postseason. And that is wild to say. That's all this team needs. We have talked about it every year since they got that first taste in 2015. They lost that heartbreaking series to the Royals. Missed the postseason in 2016. They've been back in it every year. They know exactly when to flip that switch, what it takes once you get into the postseason. Bringing back Justin Verlander, who was with this club from 2017 to 2022. Bringing back Kendall Graveman, who was with this club in 2021. There is a reason they went and got those 2 guys. They know what they bring inside the clubhouse. They know that those guys know what the postseason medal requires. These players, these men, these coaches, Dusty Baker obviously, knows what it takes once you get to the postseason. That's really all they need to do. They're getting healthy. If they just get in there, I promise you there's not a single club in the American League that wants to face the Astros because, BC, exactly what you said. They know what it takes to win. They crave that feeling. And that's why it was so important to do it again last year, to prove that you don't need to bang trash cans to win the World Series. They went out and they validated the talent that has been in this system since they started bringing in guys like Springer and Altuve and guys like that. They went out and they won it again, and they have absolutely every piece to get it done again. They just need to make sure they get into the postseason, 2.5 games back of the Rangers as we join you right now. If they get into the postseason, they have as good a shot to throw a parade as anybody does.
Nobody wants to face the Astros in the fall.
And especially when you line up Verlander and Fromber and Javier, sure, their numbers might not be in the regular season what they have been in the past, but just look at the back of the baseball card. Look at what they've done every single season. Once we turn to October, nobody wants to set up against them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, bringing in Verlander, as you said, Kendall Graveman at the deadline, you give up a couple of prospects. We'll just close, I guess, with this, and we'll have much more coverage throughout the day. I thought the Verlander move showed that, I mean, despite how much the Astros believe in their farm system, they know the importance, and it's like we all take it for granted that the Astros are here every year with a chance to win the World Series, but that is still so rare, and the Astros are going to owe Justin Verlander a lot of money, but they are still in it to win it, as Dusty Baker said right now.
I've said it a few times since that trade went down Tuesday, and I'm glad we just showed the video of the Astros parade. Prospects are cool. Parades are cooler. Whatever it takes to throw another parade rolling down the streets of downtown Houston, that is what the fans want. Sure, there's a lot of hope in the farm system and bringing guys like Drew Gilbert and Ryan Clifford. You know what's also cool? Yordan Alvarez hitting a home run in Game 6 to win the World Series inside Minute Maid Park. And when your window is open, which it very much is right now, you, pun intended, you mortgage the farm. You mortgage your farm system to try and bring in the pieces that you know will help you win a pennant and potentially throw another parade just like we're looking at.
The window is always open on the ABC 13 live stream whenever breaking news is happening, and big events as well, like the Astros headed to the White House, and full coverage here today on ABC 13. Much more to come throughout the day. Brianna Connor, we did good here.
I know. It's been so nice just going through the memories, right?
Yes.
If there's anything we can thank the Astros for, so many things, but definitely those memories. What a season we had.
It was nice to sit here and reminisce. And, you know, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about 2017 was so special for different reasons, for Harvey, for what it did for our community. But I'm so glad they talked about what the Astros did for Uvalde, because we've all lived through that and through those families. The fact that they were able to celebrate that, I'm glad that that was part of the toast today.
It is a team that no doubt has captured this city's hearts for a long time, not just with the wins on the field, but the character off it and the way they embrace this community. For Brianna Connor, Adam Winkler, I'm Jonathan Bruce. Thanks so much for being with us here on our ABC 13 live stream. We will have much more throughout the day, also on abc13.com, wherever you stream. Thanks so much for being with us.